So I thought I'd do a little video about why most white people don't speak out against racism. This video was inspired by someone who I respect, who posted a Facebook status the other day. He said, how come all the other white people don't go so hard on the bad racist white people? You know, something comparable to how black people will work hard to debate any of the bad black people who are simply frustrated with white racism and oppression. Why don't white people speak out against their own like we do? So I'm gonna try to answer that to my best ability, mainly because motherfuckers go on the path of least resistance, you feel me? People tend to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's like law number one. We do things that we're rewarded for, and we avoid things that we're punished for. And in order for white supremacy to survive, people who are for white supremacy are going to be rewarded. People who are against white supremacy are going to be punished. So for anyone who speaks in favor of white people, they get rewarded. For anyone who speaks out against white people, they get punished. And it doesn't matter what the race is of the person doing this talking. You know, it could be a white person speaking for or against white people, black person speaking for or against white people. Either way, the way you get treated depends on what your response is and what you're saying. Basic math. Take, for example, a black person who speaks out against black people. You know, this goes way back to slavery, those who lived in the house versus those who lived the field, whatnot. You know, nowadays it's usually black conservatives, quote unquote, they say, who will point the finger at other black folks and say, okay, you're the problem. You know what I'm saying? We're the problem. We're fucking up. That's why we're in the condition we're in. They shift the blame from white supremacy to a supposed black moral or cultural inferiority. And of course, white folks buy this shit. You know what I'm saying? They lap that shit up because it supports some of their ingrained racist beliefs. He helps them sleep at night. He either justifies their racist beliefs that they already had, or he helps them maintain their illusion that racism is over and that, you know, there are no racially based limits to your success in this world. And therefore, any failings you have on your part are based on your own failings. You know, not a system of oppression. He might get called a sellout or an Uncle Tom by other black people, but that doesn't really matter because they don't hold the power. You know, they're not the ones who can actually hold him accountable. It's usually going to be a white person who's signing his paycheck at the end of the day. It's a white person who decides whether he gets promoted or not, whether he even has a job or not, 9 times out of 10. A lot of these dudes even have careers just speaking out against other black folks, you know what I'm saying? Because white people will pull them out. Whenever, you know, something happens, they want to blame on white people, well, pull out the black conservatives. All right, so that's one side of it. Other side is white people who speak for the interest and for the benefit of black folks. And what happens with us? Most white people in this country either feel they have an interest in maintaining white supremacy or at minimum, you know, in not opposing it. Because when white people do take a stand, we get ostracized for it. And if you haven't seen that happen, it's probably just because white folks who speak out in the interest of black people rarely make it on TV. We don't get called in for the interviews. You know, sure, you got some white folks who will proclaim colorblind beliefs. You know, they say we're not racist. On Martin Luther King Day, they all get around and sing Kumbaya, which is great. I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to actually challenging white supremacy in a real way or pointing out systemic injustices in this country, suddenly they're not around. Suddenly they don't want to speak about it. They opt out of the conversation. Most white folks, you know, or when they do go hard, they go hard on historical injustices. They go hard on slavery. They go hard on Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying, segregation, but they don't go hard on current systemic injustice. Only time they speak out against what's happening right now is when they're going against extremists. You know what I'm saying? Donald Sterling, they'll throw him under the bus. The KKK, neo-Nazi, skinheads, all that shit, they'll throw them under the bus. But all these people who subconsciously support white supremacy without even realizing it, they're left untouched. They always come to the defense, making excuses for them. And also the media always portrays this whole thing as a black problem as well. You know, not taking into account the fact that the race problem in this country is actually a white problem. Because white people, for the most part, are holding the strings that actually keep the shit perpetuated. And anyone who identifies too closely with blacks, we get written off, you know what I'm saying, laughed at, looked out as clowns. They come up with words. Back in the day, it was, you know, N-word lover. You know, they call us wiggers, you know, all these different words they have to dismiss and shut down basically white folks who get too close to black folks. And it's funny because on one hand, you'll see the white saviorism mentality. You know, they got these movies coming out where it's all like the white people helping out the poor black people, you know, this paternalistic idea we have. But that's a fictionalized version. The actual white folks who really put themselves on the line and died for this shit, you never hear them mentioned. They don't talk about them in Black History Month. They don't talk about it when they're talking about the civil rights movement. They don't talk about John Brown. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I can't even name most of the white activists from the past. And me being who I am, I should know. Most of us don't even know because it's hard. You got to dig deep to find that shit. And I'll tell you why. It's because they don't want us to see that. They don't want us to identify with that. They don't want us to see that as an option for us. If we look at it like black folks stand up for black folks, white folks, all we have to do is just quote unquote not be racist, you know, and just go about living our lives in comfort. Well, this is what happened. Black folks get the impression that we don't care. They get the impression that white folks just don't give a fuck because of what they go through every day and what we continuously fail to acknowledge. Or even if we do acknowledge, we fail to do anything about it or speak out actively against it. And then white folks, because we don't see other white folks standing up for it, we get the impression that it's not our battle. We're not told the story that it's our battle. You know, and the cycle just keeps continuing on and on. Hell, I've even got people close to me, people who I know are not racist in their heart, who preach humanitarian values, all this shit. They've told me this is not my battle. Why are you fighting this? People I know and love. And when otherwise well-meaning white folks tell me that this isn't my fight, I ask you a question. Why the fuck isn't it yours? How about that? Think about that.
See, this guy have said a lot of things, and I tend to pick out points from what he said. And that all I keep on pointing is that it is the system, not always the people, but the system, the way the system is designed. Because it's the system that will tell you what to think. Sometimes, like, the system will configure your brain to think in a certain way. And that's why I always say that black people should not seek validation on how they should, from people. Whether people care about you, how people will feel, you shouldn't be seeking validation before you do things, right? So the system has been designed to be against the black people from onset. From onset. So that brings us to how can we correct these things? Correcting these things can start from the mentality that we should possess. Look at this right now. If a white person defends a victim of racism, a black person that is a victim of racism, he will get punished. Why? Because of the system. Because of the way the system has been designed. Now, because of that, they don't want to even defend the black people anymore. They just want to, like, live their life. They just want to be, you know, to be free from the world. They just want to be like a kind of, because it is, they just accept it as the way of life. That's the culture. That's the culture that other people are meant to be higher than the other. But it's not. It is meant for the black people for now to come up with their own mentality to avoid this. Their own mentality to way to handle these situations. Honestly, while watching this, I feel in a certain way. I feel like this thing, we could do a lot if we start reasoning in the right direction. We could do a lot to eliminate this racism that's against the black community by reasoning, like if we have the right mentality. Taking Africa for example, I can tell you that the system, using the programming, the way they program Africa, the way they design Africa, starting from World Bank to IMF to political and democracy, all those stuff, you see that these people don't want Africa to come out of poverty. They just want that thing to remain the same. They want their supremacy to be there for life. And they don't want anybody that can come and speak against it. Because I've seen a lot of white people that have spoke against the supremacy of the white, but you see them getting punished for it. because these people want the system to just remain the same. Now it's left for the black community to act wisely. It's left for the black community to speak against it, to have the right mentality to eliminate it. What he said is almost like I can tell you that 80% truth. From his own perspective, I understand a lot of things from what he said. And it's true. It's true. It's the system. The system is designed against us. And that's why we must have the right mentality in handling situation. We are all human beings. First, we are all human beings. And that's what matters. Whether you are sitting with a white person, you are sitting with a black person, first of all, what you should consider is we are all human beings. Then when it comes to play in terms of politics, right, and culture, that's when this supremacy of a thing comes to play. That's the system which I'm talking about. So we're eliminating I believe in the future, we are going to eliminate this system. This system is going to be eliminated someday. That's the good news about it. It's going to be eliminated soon. Anyway, this brings us to the end. I would love to know what you think about this in the comment section. See you in the next video.